now, coming to you live, the Fantasy Oddcast, starring host used to be sober and guests K-Zap and Feta Cheese. Welcome to the Fantasy Oddcast.
And welcome to the Fantasy Oddcast, episode 6. We've got the full gang back together here. K-Zap, 7-Eleven, Feta Cheese in the house. Let's roll into it. We've got big games to watch, big points on the table. We don't want to leave any on the table. Who we're thinking is going to be good for these games. Obviously, we had a big game Thursday night. We're not going to dwell on that one. You all have watched the game or gotten the points. That being said, game 1, we got Falcons, Bengals. Obviously, both quarterbacks have a good opportunity.
Nailed it, John. You nailed it.
Have opportunity here to score some big points. I like Dalton over Matt Ryan on this one.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
I think Andy Dalton is going to have a big week this week. It's that Falcons secondary is banged up. It's definitely going to be a shootout. I mean, Atlanta's defense not going to go anywhere, and the Bengals can give up points.
Yeah.
They gave up 31, I think, last week to Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. So I actually expect another big game from Calvin Ridley, being not as big as last week, but he's going to be involved in that offense, and they're a dangerous team to stop. Freeman's out this week again, so until he gets back, it's going to be Coleman in the backfield. But I think you can expect a lot from the aerial attack against the Bengals.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I mean, AJ Green is back, I believe, this week, but I think you'll still see an emerging Tyler Boyd have a pretty good game, and at least be involved in that offense. Especially, we haven't even mentioned Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard there is a really great guy. If you have him, you're up as a top 10 play this week.
Yeah, I think if you got anybody in this game on your team, I think they're a must start because everybody's got an opportunity to get in the end zone here.
I think you got to start everyone.
Yeah,
any situation where
get a piece of this,
a slowed down pace game. Do we see any struggles here from either side? I mean, both quarterbacks also have a tendency to throw picks and stuff. So I mean, working from the other side.
No, I in my opinion, I think Andy's going to throw his pick. Matt Ryan will throw a pick, but it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be score for score till the end. So,
Vegas agrees with you.
There's another one. Ravens Steelers is the Sunday night game, and that game is another one that's going to go back and forth, in my opinion.
Anytime these two teams match up, it's going to be just a knockdown, dragged out fight.
Yeah, if I remember looking into the stats, there's the Steelers-Ravens has the highest point total out of all the rivalries, divisional rivalries out there. You
can look for the Steelers to keep picking up or putting up big points. Roethlisberger, he'll throw his interceptions. He looks rusty, but he can still sling the ball out there.
And Flacco looks good this year. I think Flacco is not not Super Bowl-esque Flacco, but Flacco's been more of an Alex Smith type of Flacco. He's a lot more protection, short passes, but he's taking his risks and chances.
Yeah, it's been a weird team to kind of follow this year, and who do you own there in that offense fantasy-wise? Because he's kind of spreading the ball around a lot. No one's really become the clear number one. I mean, John Brown is the most targeted guy there. He's getting a lot of production, but they still have other weapons there. They run the ball a lot. They're really well-balanced offense. So It's kind of hard to take your pick on who you think the standout is going to be on that offense. But I think they can all have pretty good games, and you just never know. I think last year Alex Collins had a huge game it was either Sunday or Monday night against the Steelers.
Against the Steelers, yeah. It was his first start, I believe, first official start that game.
And he went off in that game, so it could be another Alex Collins day. You could see Flacco just spreading the ball out. You could see some deep down the field shots.
Is Flacco
Steelers secondary is banged up too?
Yeah, and Flacco is the most that has the highest red zone. Has the highest red zone percentage out of all the quarterbacks, I think, right now. He's got the best efficiency in the red zone out of all the quarterbacks, which is huge. Which this week, everybody has talked about waiver wire pickups across, ESPN, Yahoo, CBS for Buck Allen because of all the vulturing touchdowns he gets in the red zone. But at the end of the day, when your quarterback has the highest efficiency in the red zone, I think that's a dumb pickup to get somebody to stash into your flex just to hope he scores a touchdown. I think I think Crabtree has an opportunity.
I know you have a little bit of bias because of you are a Alex Collins owner, but I think I have to disagree with you on the call. That's not a valuable pickup. I mean, he has how many touchdowns already through the passing game? He's valuable. He can score touchdowns. He has already this season, and then also at the goal line, they just favor him. He's got a nose for the end zone. And with their improved,
he's unpredictable. So it's a guy that you stash on your bench. It's not a guy you're going to run out there every week. So if he's there and you have the room for it, sure, it makes sense to go and make a move for him. But
I think if you're in a pinch, you start him this week and you feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, but let's just look. I mean, you're saying he catches the ball, he's going to run all that. I mean, I'm looking at his stats here.
He's better than any Indianapolis running back at this point.
More receptions and more yardage in the receiving game than Alex Collins this year.
But I mean, he's got 13 catches for 70 yards and only 1 touchdown coming from that. And you're looking at Alex Collins himself, who's got 7 catches for 67 yards. So Alex Collins is definitely more efficient in the air and more efficient on the ground than Buck Allen. And I mean, I could go deeper into his rushing yards.
At the goal line, they choose you to use him at the goal line.
Yeah,
listen. This is my point: is that there's really no clear-cut guy to own in that offense, but they're a good offense to have a piece of. You're not going to have these boomer bust games. I don't see any guy on that team throwing 30 points up this year.
The offense is spread there amongst
it is. It's very well balanced. Yeah, very well balanced.
Their wide receivers and their running backs. That really, there's not a lot of fantasy goodness there, even with your running back one there. So, and it doesn't help that they vulture.
The vulturing of the touchdowns definitely hurts Alex Collins' value in this game. But I think whose value as an uptick, and I would be somebody who would want to start him this week is Michael Crabtree.
I was talking about the Ravens, by the way. Get on the Steelers side.
Yeah, well, because I have a feeling.
If you have a Steeler, start him.
Yeah, if you have a Steeler, you got to start him because
you're not going to sit Antonio Brown in this game. You're not going to sit Juju. You're not going to sit James Conner.
No, you're playing those guys week to week anyway.
Yeah, so those are every week starters.
But I'm thinking Crabtree is a start this week in a flex position for me because he is yet to get in the end zone, and this is his opportunity in the red zone. He is deadly in the red zone. We know that.
It's a primetime game, so he's a diva. So
yeah, but here's the thing: Crabtree during the rest of the season, outside the red zone, he doesn't have the speed he used to. He
just has hands made of bricks.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, in the red zone is where he gets his pay dirt. So I think I'm playing John Brown and I'm playing Crabtree this game here if I have him. Crabtree maybe as a flex. John Brown could be a wide receiver too in this game. Let's move on. Broncos and Chiefs. I think you got it,
but we got you.
What did you say?
I think you have it flopped around with David with those two Ravens wide receivers, but that was just a late segment hot take.
I still think that Crabtree is a flex play, and John Brown would be a wide receiver.
A little bit of a higher ceiling than maybe you all do, but we'll see.
Continue. He does. I said, and having a quarterback with high efficiency in the red zone gives him a +1 there. Gives him an opportunity.
I think we see Crabtree multiple times in the end zone this week. Hot take. You heard it here first.
All right, hot take. Crabtree multiple times in the end zone.
Thank you.
I'll go. It'll be multiple times in the end zone targeted, and he's going to have at least 3 drops in the end zone.
Okay. Thanks.
Broncos Chiefs at Mahomes show. We know they're going to sling the rock around there. If you've got,
I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah, if you got anybody on the Chiefs offense, you play them, no doubt.
I don't know. I think if you have anyone in this game, you play them. I think if you have Sanders, if you have Demaryius Thomas, if you have Lindsey and Foreman, like this game is going to be high scoring. They're going to shoot them out.
Yeah.
If you have anyone in this game on either side, play them.
Both defenses haven't shown that they can turn over the ball for their offense that often. It's going to be downfield shots, obviously, for Mahomes, and I see Case Keenum taking some risks.
I'll say what's an interesting matchup right this week is Von Miller and that defense rushing Patrick Mahomes.
That's a good point.
And I want to see how he's doing against like a really top end pass rusher with Von Miller. He scrambled out. We all saw the touchdown last week where he scrambled out, rolled around, threw a freaking dart to the back of the end zone. I mean, like, I'm not doubting his playmaker ability. I don't think his numbers are going to take that big of a hit, but I think it's going to be an interesting matchup to watch, and I definitely want to watch that game.
Yeah, I like that game too because it's another divisional game here too. So, I
Yep.
mean,
Is
so,
it in Denver? Because obviously the altitude plays into that.
yeah, that's a very good point. It is in Denver. So
It's in Denver, and you do have. I know they're like depleted and they have players, to leave and all that, but it's still the Denver Broncos. They have some sort of pedigree there, right? Like, so maybe
I mean, that's one of the stadiums in this entire league where there is a true home field advantage. That's for sure.
Let's see. Maybe it's the first test for Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, you want to fire up all offensive weapons. Although, and I know I've seen a lot of like talk around the industry on Case Keenum, but have we really see him hit his potential? Like, this is probably the best game we're going to see from him, or at least that's the spot that he's in.
I think this could spark the rest of the season for Case Keenum.
If he's playing, I would start him.
Yeah, I honestly think Case Keenum.
Best spot all year for him.
It literally could spark his season. You gotta realize you're moving from an offense where he had the opportunity to learn and come in with the Vikings and get comfortable with the Vikings, and then you get to another team in the offseason. He's still got to get the offense under his belt.
Side question also, where are you guys at on DT?
I think he's fine. I think he's dropped some balls. He hasn't looked like normal DT, but I mean, he has.
He's still DT.
Yeah, he's still DT.
But Emmanuel Sanders is the favorite target there, and I said this going into the season that this was one of my guys I believe we talked about on the podcast that you can go get down much later in the draft other than DT.
You did.
And he's going to be a better option there because Case Keenum's tendency, he loved Thielen last year in the slot. Emmanuel Sanders is a better Thielen. He really is in terms of pure talent. Now, the offenses that they're on might not be the same, so the statistics might not show the stats, but I think as a pure talent, Emmanuel Sanders is...
Yeah, in the Randall Cobb mold.
What?
Randall Cobb mold?
No, he's much faster. Much faster out of the slot. Like, it's different type.
Yeah.
Different type of receiver.
Golden Tate?
No.
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 Okay. Yeah, keep it going. Yeah.
Keep going.
What are you doing over there?
All right, guys.
Yeah, if you got people in this game, got to play them. Offensively, it's going to be another high-scoring game. Giants Saints. A lot of people are low on Eli, but Eli proved last week that he can lead the defense to over 20 points. Maybe surprise the offense to over 20 points, which surprised me. Beat the defense.
Elijah.
So you got the Saints who can't stop anything through the air right now, and you got the Giants who can't stop anything through the air right now, facing Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees. So the last
time these two met, I believe it was a 52-49 game in the Dome.
Yeah.
The only thing that concerns me on this game is Drew Brees outside in MetLife in Jersey against the Giants.
I mean, I'm not concerned about that because I mean,
Drew Brees on at it right now is the thing that there's splits to support that. For sure, he plays better at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say I'm a Drew Brees owner, so I'm still going to play him. I have full confidence in him moving forward, but I think that this could be a game where there's a high point total. This might be the game where
it goes under.
They get it wrong, and this goes under. I could see this going back and forth, maybe 28-21 game, a one touchdown game.
Yeah.
But it could be all on the ground.
My only reason why I think it still shoots out is because of how bad New Orleans Saints defense has played this year and has led them getting into these dogfights. But I can see how
their defense has played bad, but the offensive line for the Giants looked halfway decent last week. If they return to form, I don't care what the secondary looks like for the Saints. Eli is going to get crushed back there.
Yeah.
And it could be back and forth. They could run the ball a lot. It could be a big week for Saquon Barkley. And I actually think it's going to be he's going to be the top offensive weapon there this week.
Maybe the Giants are exactly what the Saints defense needs to get back on track.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, here's
no better prescription than playing against the Giants.
I don't actually have that much hesitancy to play Drew Brees outside in the Meadowlands. I'm
not hesitant to play Drew Brees, but
I know obviously a dome is a dome's a dome, but at 70-degree weather out there. It's prime time football weather. It's not cold in New Jersey yet. Against the Giants.
Is that one of the early games or is that an afternoon game?
I believe it's an early game.
It's a 10 a.m. game.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 1 o'clock game, 10 a.m.
No, it's the afternoon. It's an afternoon game. It's the afternoon game. But I'm not worried about that. 70 degrees out there, a high in New Jersey. It's going to be fine. It's not going to be cold. Drew Brees knows how to play football out there. And the Giants, Eli Apple's out. Not that he's amazing cornerback or anything like that, but he's out. So they're playing a backup on corner there. Michael Thomas is going to
425 game. You're right.
Vernon's out. Their best pass rusher, Olivier Vernon. I just think Drew Brees is just going to sit back there. It's going to be like 7-on-7 for him. No problem.
And JPP will be there.
In Tampa Bay because he's not there anymore.
Presence in spirit only, but he'll probably be tuning in on TV.
He left a couple fingers in New Jersey, so
yeah.
And fun fact, I don't know, maybe you guys will appreciate this being from New Jersey. This weekend is the Chowder Fest. One of my close friends from New York has driven down to beautiful, stunning, and glorious Jersey Shore to experience, or maybe it's Long Island, I could be wrong, but it's the Chowder Festival in that region.
Well,
I think it's the Jersey Shore, though.
Moving on from the Chowder Festival, let's talk about another team that has big on chowder, and that's New England against Miami here. So this is the last game we're going to talk about, high-value points, where if you got players on these teams, you want to start them this week because there's opportunity for them to score big points. Obviously, you're playing Tom Brady every week if you've got Tom Brady. Unless you got,
I don't agree with you there.
Hashtag
narrative. My only difference in that statement is if you got somebody else on your bench that is a quarterback that's worth streaming for the week that we mentioned earlier in any of those games. But if Tom Brady's your number one quarterback, the odds of you having a Drew Brees, Andy Dalton you could possibly have, and he's going to probably have a better game.
I was just going to say, would you rather start Andy Dalton or Tom Brady this week?
I would start Andy Dalton. I would start Dalton over Brady this week.
I would start Case Keenum if he's healthy over Tom Brady.
I would not start Keenum off that.
In any of the games that we've talked about, I would start any of those guys over Tom Brady. Yeah. Tannehill over Tom Brady.
What's your big?
Miami's going to go 4-0 this week.
It's in New England.
Yeah.
What's your big? I mean, they're on a 2-game slide. We've seen this how many times?
They don't look good. They do not look good.
No, they don't. And they still don't. They don't get Edelman back yet.
It's not like they're playing offense. Like their offense is playing poorly. That entire team is playing poorly. Special teams is a mess. Defense is a mess. They can't move the ball on offense efficiently. Their third down conversion rate is horrible.
Their injuries at running back.
And hold on, let me preface this by saying, if Josh Gordon comes in and is not just, I don't expect him to have a huge game. If he's on a snap count, I don't expect for him to have a huge game. But we don't know. He could be a freak there.
Yeah, well, Tom Brady's shown that if he gets a receiver of his caliber, they're gonna make
he's gonna target him all day, every day, and only him.
But that's gonna free up
until Edelman gets back.
Free up Gronk, and then when Edelman gets back, it'll help. But that's the thing is, I agree. I don't like New England this week in this game. But obviously, you can never count Tom out, and you can never. What's gonna have to happen is Miami's gonna have to get up big early, have some trick plays, get some big plays, and then hopefully.
I think that's where they're gonna come in. Is you're gonna see kind of a lot of reverses, maybe some wide receiver passes like they did last week. You're going to see jet sweeps. You're going to see their running game. Miami's running game has not looked very efficient this year. So I think it's going to be put on Tannehill's shoulders to go out and throw for a ton of yards. Look for Kenny Stills to have a big game. He's notorious for having it against New England as well. He's had big games against them before.
Yeah.
So look for Kenny Stills to have a big game. I don't like Kenyon Drake in this game. I actually think this is another game that could go under.
I think it's like
48 points if they're giving it.
This is the one game I see going under out of the 5 myself.
I can see this being like a 20-10 game.
Yeah. I think you see 21-14, 21-14, 21-17 victory for Miami here. But
there's a very good possibility that the defense picks up the slack for the Patriots, right?
But they just don't look good. They just don't look good.
Their defense. Patrick Chung is coming off a concussion already this season, and the rest of their D-backs haven't look like they can sit in with the rest of the receivers around there. I mean, look, Matt Stafford and the Lions, they're good receiving core there, and even their rushing game beat up on the Patriots' rush defense. It just was a tough. They look outmatched on defense for the first time in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen this, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Me too. Suck it, Tom. So again, that's Falcons, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Broncos, Chiefs, Giants, Saints, and Miami, New England. If you got players in there, play them this week. Those are the ones you're going to start. If somebody's on your bench, take the chance, take the risk, throw them in a flex. I think it's gonna be big pay dirt for those guys. I think one of the other things too, speaking of people on your bench that have value, is trade talks. I mean, in our league, we've seen trades flying left and right as early as this morning with K-Zap making a big, nice trade, acquiring his 4th RB1. But you have people like David Johnson. You have people like Mark Ingram who aren't in yet. We talked about Julian Edelman not in with the Patriots yet. These are guys that are seen being traded around leagues because they're either David Johnson underperforming so far for his value, and those other two have a lot of value in them and they haven't played yet. I mean, what's your advice for trades? I mean,
here's my biggest thing is there are a lot of guys out there that people are looking to go make moves for, especially at running back. Everyone wants a top end receiver. Everyone wants these big name running backs, but like, are they really worth going to grab? You look at a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, great talent, had a great years there in the past, but that offensive line is bad right now. That team is bad. So the amount of touches he's going to get per game and the amount of times they're going to have to throw the ball because they're going to be behind, he's not going to be as involved. Now, David Johnson is an interesting guy just because we don't know what that offense is going to look like with Rosen taking the helm there. He could get more involved, especially as a receiver and an outlet for Rosen. But he's a guy that people wasted a top 4 pick on. Well, not wasted, I don't want to say that, but they used a top 4 pick on him. So they're looking at the 4th week to still get some value on that. It's not going to be a buy low candidate. Like, this guy is not a guy you're probably going to go and, ship off some like wide receiver 2 for, or a lower end guy. You're going to probably have to pay for those guys.
We can still ask high for DJ. I think he still has a top 5 pick value. So
that's my point. Is that, like, a lot of these guys you're going to have to pay up for getting. So they're not really buy low candidates. What if you're guys that you can look to go and improve your team? People who have been involved in that offense, looking to make smaller moves. If you need help at running back, there are guys down there that you can go and make a move for. We spoke, a little bit earlier today. Alex Collins is a guy. He's going to get some work there. He's going to get volume. He's consistent. Jordan Howard's a guy. James Conner is a guy you'll probably have to pay a little bit for, but he's going to be an RB1 there. Guys like Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, they're kind of different. Leonard Fournette, I really want to take a risk on. He has an injury already he's dealing with this year, kind of lingering from last year. It's a risky pick to go and get.
Yeah, Mixon's
another guy. This guy, these guys that are having surgeries in the middle of the season, the Olsons or the Mixons. Sorry, Nick, to pick on your team, but they're having surgery and they're injured right now, and they're getting cleaned up from previous injuries that they had last year. So it's just lingering on. Is it worth going and paying up for a guy like that? I don't think so personally, but if you really need a guy like that, try to package some guys together and go make a move. There's a lot of talent out there that you can go and do to help your team. Wide receivers are all over the board. You can go and don't have to pay a lot for them. There's running backs you can go and get. Isaiah Crowell is another guy that you can go and pay down for. You're not paying like that premium price of going to get, these top end running backs, and you can go and get him. He's been really consistent and used in that offense. And then 2 games this year, he's had 2 touchdowns.
I think that's great advice. I would personally steer clear, though, of one guy you talked about, and that's James Conner. And I hate to pick on your team, and I know you just grabbed him, but James Conner and
you don't know what you're talking about in this matter. You don't.
Also, adding to injury, I just want to also bring up Devonta Freeman is a guy I would kind of steer away from him, because this year with the injuries and they have another weapon in the passing game. I think Devonta Freeman's somebody you want to look at. Just kind of bear with a close.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's just being spiteful because I'm
kind of analyzing some people.
You don't know what you're talking about if you think James Conner.
I'll go back to that. Kind of cement that down. Do do not do yourself a disservice and go and lock in a guy that's not even going to play the whole entire year confirmed yet. And that's
don't know what you're talking about.
Argue about. So just
Le'Veon Bell will not play another game.
It's week 4. Don't make a hasty decision and pick up a guy that could have no job come week 6, 7, 8, or 10 or 11, the period of time he has to come back to get picked up as a free agent somewhere, which is his goal, to make as much money as possible. So I don't think he's going to shoot himself in the foot. I think you got yourself a 6-week player for.
He's still going to get paid a lot of money next year, whether or not he signs a 10-year or not.
I mean, if you're going to make the James Conner,
Le'Veon Bell is in no rush to play football. That's why last week he was out on the fucking jet ski and he's making rap albums because he's in no rush to go back and play football if he's not going to get paid.
I will say though that if
you don't know what you're talking about,
if you're going to make a move for James Conner, probably do it now so that you get the most utilization out of him. You get 6 weeks instead of 5 and 4 because that period's every week. So I guess do go and get him right now.
Well, here's the thing, but like a move like Chris made
for the other guys that you guys are talking about, the David Johnson, yes. I mean,
I think David Johnson.
I don't know that one.
At least you know that.
Alexa, what the fuck?
Alexa, you're not in this podcast, okay? No, you say David Johnson. I think I bring up this whole talk about David Johnson in terms of being a David Johnson owner. If I'm a David Johnson owner and I'm not happy with his production, you want a little bit more value and immediate value. Say you're 1-2 or 0-3 right now in your fantasy league. Okay. You can sell high on David Johnson still because he has the value, and you can spread that value a little bit more in your team because you obviously took him in a top 5 pick, so you may not have an RB2. You may have an RB2 and not another RB1 in your other running back slot.
It depends on how your team is set up. If you do have the luxury of holding on to David Johnson for a couple more weeks to kind of see what that offense looks like, I'd recommend doing that just because that guy could be a stud in that offense. He's a really good receiving back for Rosen, and he can have huge numbers in the receiving game.
David Johnson. They already talked about getting him the ball in space, and he scored on a touchdown like that last week. So.
Yep. So I mean, that's a guy that you can go get, but you're going to be paying for a guy like that. And if you're an owner for David Johnson, maybe it's something that you consider if you're struggling at 2 positions. But just to be clear, you're probably not going to be going and getting you're downgrading quite a bit at running back if you want a wide receiver and a running back or 2 running backs.
It's definitely going to be a 2-for-1 deal if you're getting rid of you're not going to go 1-for-1 with David Johnson unless you can throw him away on your team, and nobody's going to have that because of where you had to take him in your draft. A 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 deal is or 3-for-2 deal, including him in there, is what you're going to want. And what you're going to need is all depends upon if you had injuries on your team, if you have weaknesses, and if you have players that are not performing. I agree, but he's one of those guys that there is that lingering trade talk amongst fantasy football owners with him because he hasn't stepped it up to the likes of Todd Gurley, to the likes of some of these other top running backs up there. I mean, Saquon Barkley is outperforming him, and he was drafted in most leagues after David Johnson. Same thing with Alvin Kamara. So I think at this point, week 3, it's still early to make trades. It all depends on real injuries, and it depends upon how your teams are going. But by week 4, if you're 0-4, if you're 1-3, and you want to look for value, I mean, we listed off a bunch of players right there that are good value for running backs. Wide receiver wise, obviously, there's a little bit more depth there. So if you're looking to trade for wide receiver depth, make sure there's nobody on waivers or free agency that's worth picking up as a streamer here and there. But David Johnson, some of those other running backs that are underperforming or a low end RB1, you could definitely get value off of still these coming weeks. And then you talk about 2 players I mentioned, Ingram and Edelman, both guys who have pure potential. We know when they play, they perform well. Do we know they're going to do that this season? No, we don't know that. But you can sell based on that potential, and you could get value off of them too as well if you really need it.
And you're not going to get much for Edelman. Fantasy-wise, he's a big name to have, and he catches a lot of balls. PPR, he's a monster, but in the standard league, he doesn't perform as well as you'd think.
Well, with the Patriots underperforming this year, he may be the key that they need to get in the end zone a couple more times. So you never know.
Maybe.
Well, on that note, let's leave these guys to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think high or buy is our next category we're going to quick chat on. And I just want to talk about a couple guys that I'm saying I'm still high on, or saying a couple guys that drop them. They're not worth keeping on your team, stashing away. They're not giving you value. My first buy out of this whole category is Rashad Penny. If you got him on your bench hoping that he was going to break into the lineup as a starting running back and get more shares over Carson, well, it doesn't look like it's happening, especially after Carson blew up last week. Don't stash him. I dropped him in my league, and he was a keeper option. He's a buy for me. Somebody I'm high on that is worth keeping on your bench still to see what happens is Marlon Mack. I have him on my bench. I want to see how he performs. The thing is, the rest of those running backs haven't done shit since they came in, so I have high hopes. It's worth hanging on to him for another week or two to see if he gets majority share and if he can perform. If not, he'll be on my buy list in a couple weeks.
I could probably go take a shit that's going to be a more effective running back than Marlon Mack in that offense.
So
if you're running Indianapolis running backs out there and you're in any spot in your roster, I feel really bad for you. You're having a rough year.
I mean, I hate to attack your team as well. I mean, we're putting some jabs, but when you made that draft pick, I thought it was one of the worst draft picks.
What, Mac?
In the draft of our league of record. Yeah, you went up and got him like in the 5th or 6th round or something. I don't know.
No, I got him later than he was my last
running game. I'm not high on that running game at all. I owned Jordan Wilkins for like two weeks or a week, and I've dropped him back down where he belongs in the deep dungeons of your league waiver wire. And I mean, Marlon Mack may come in and impress. Maybe I'm getting it completely wrong. Maybe he's a 10 to 15 guy a week, but I think he's a desperation flex at best.
Yeah, and I only keep him as a I quote him as a high right now for the sole purpose of there's an opportunity that still waits because he's been injured and nobody's performed to take the position, so it's still his to lose.
Well, if you haven't dropped Dak Prescott or any of the wide receivers in the Dallas offense, that now's the time to just cut bait with them. Same goes for any running back in Tampa
Unless you play in a league that allows dual eligibility for Kayvon Austin, then I would consider running him out there as a running back simply for the big play potential. If you had no other, especially PR,
maybe.
I still think Dallas offense except for Ezekiel. I agree with you on that, Chris. I mean, there's other people out there, that are highs on. I think I've seen Ted Ginn be swapped around here and there. I think if you have the opportunity to keep him on your team, I'm high on him more than I am buy for him because he has.
Who is it again?
Ted Ginn. He's still available in a ton of leagues.
He's dropped in our league of record by I think one.
He's available. He's available in a lot of leagues, but he's also people saw Cam Meredith just score a touchdown last week. Don't get scared away by that. Ted Ginn is definitely not like a big playmaker in Michael Thomas aspect, but as in a home run hitting aspect, like a Deshaun Jackson, he's going to be available for Drew Brees.
Sure. All right. Well, best of luck to everyone for this week.
Yeah.
Congrats if you're 3-0, or if this is a week where you must win.
This is a make or break week here. A lot of 1 and 2, 2-1 teams. The starts getting some separation in the leagues.
The quarter
mark.
Very
interesting time.
Quarter mark.
Hey, if you're 0-3 and you're looking for some questions on your team, trades, who you think you should get rid of, who you think you should try and pick up, feel free, drop a comment below. We'll be happy to get back to it next week. We can talk about it first thing in the segment.
Alrighty.
Thanks for tuning in. Again, remember to subscribe. Used to be sober. Also follow on Twitter. We'll be back again next week. Thank you all for tuning in.
Let's go Yanks.
Go Yanks.